All right. So let's continue. I already explained, we already learned some how to create some basic graphs, right? So this you already know this user interface. So I'm just connecting to the Excel file directly. I'm connecting to the sample superstore data again. So here, as I already said before, we need to drag orders to this part, correct? Then we can able to get the data, and to create the sheets we need to go to the sheet level, right? So in the previous day we saw how to how to create some basic graphs. Now actually Tableau is one such concept we need to learn in a sequence. That is the reason I'm not explaining many advanced concepts in the demo classes, but still let me show you just one such concept. Again, this concept I will repeat in the main afterwards also. Once we are done, I mean once we are, I mean we will again go with the flow whenever we are learning that. Whenever we that concept comes, at that time also I will explain very detailing. But let me just show you something today. Okay, so as we already know, this is dimensions and this is measures, right? So let me do one thing. I'm selecting subcategory and I'm selecting sales, that is subcategory wise sales, and I'm selecting horizontal bar graph. We already learned how to create this thing, right? How we already I already explained yesterday, or how to create the horizontal bar graph, correct? So now we already saw that we can even sort the data in descending order and ascending order, correct? And if we want, we can drag the subcategory into the color part, then we can get each and every color for each and every subcategory, right? Yes, Asif. Let me just, I'm clearing it again. So what I did previously, I selected subcategory and I selected sales. So you are asking me why sales is missing in this column, correct? So the thing is that if you can observe what kind of graph is selected by default, first thing you need to remember, just this is, let me just clear. Whenever we select dimension first, okay, whatever dimension it is, whenever we select dimension first and then measures, by default we will get this text table. That is the first graph. Okay, usually I will explain all these points when I am discussing the visualizations concept. That is the reason I didn't mentioning it here. So but again, as you asked, let me tell you, first whenever we select a dimension first and then measures, by default, actually one more thing, let me tell you, whenever I'm explaining about Tableau architecture I will cover this point. But again, you know what is SQL, right? So structured query language, which is used to maintain the databases. In the same way, whatever we are we are creating graphs here, all in the Tableau also, by default at the backend there is something called as visql. Okay, that is nothing but visualization query language. Something how we will use SQL to maintain the databases. In the same way, for Tableau also in the backend, we will have VisQL, that is nothing but visualization query language. Whenever I'm teaching Tableau, architecture, I will explain detailedly about these points. For now, just understand this is some I can say visualization query language is something which is already embedded at the backend. This one only will help us to create some graphs. Okay, accordingly whatever because of this visualization query language only, all these things are happening. This if I select dimension first and then measures, by default it will give us the text table. Let me show you. First I'm selecting subcategory and then I'm selecting one measure, that is maybe sales. So by default I got text table, right? That means I got the figure in the form of text table. right? That chat in the form of text table. If you see here, subcategory I got in rows column, but sales, how it is displaying sales as it is a text table, it is displaying text only, right? The sales are displaying in the form of text. That is what we can see here. As it is just showing me that sales is displaying in the text format. In the marks card, we are having one option called as text. Automatically, Tableau is, as I said, it is very smarter in the sense, that visualization query language, it is automatically showing us that as you select, as we have got this text table, it is showing me the sales is displaying, it is displaying the T option here, that means text. That is the reason it went into the mark card. Okay, here we can see sum of sales, it is as it is displaying in the textual format. We can see that option here. Suppose if I change any graph, if I select horizontal graph, you can see sum of sales went into my columns part, right? I hope I'm clear, Asif. This is what you asked me, right? What happened? Why? Sorry, I didn't get you.
Divya, my question is,
Mm-hmm.
let's say if you are creating the text table,
Okay,
then all the numeric values are in the text. That's
correct.
what we're. If it is any other
Mm-hmm.
visualization,
Okay.
that's going to be the numeric.
Yeah, that's going to be the numeric. That is the reason accordingly we can see that sales, that field, that measure field in the columns part.
Oh, okay. Okay, I
Okay,
got it. Okay.
as I selected first, if I select this textual table, as sales is displaying in the form of text, the sales is I mean, by default it is not displaying in the columns part, it is just displaying in the marks card. That in the marks card only we will have one text option. So just Tableau is displaying us that as you select a text table, sales, it is just sales displaying in the form of text, right? So that is the reason sales went into the marks card, it is showing the symbol called as T, that is text.
But why the column heading is missing though?
By default it will the sales at the back end, sales will went into columns only, but actually as we are displaying this table, as we are displaying text, it is just showing like this. Accordingly, whenever we select any graph, accordingly it will change. It's not like a columns, we don't have anything in columns by default. Obviously, as we choose only two fields here, one will display in the rows and other will display in the columns. But according to the graph, actually according to the graph we select, it will display accordingly. If we choose any other graphs, it will display in the columns. As I'm just displayed this textual thing, it is just showing me that sales went into the textual part. It is just
Oh,
showing the textual representation here.
okay, let's say if you add one column, extra column to this visualization for the text visualization,
See,
what's
if
going to
just
happen?
one second, I just selected tree map here. If you can see, you cannot see anything in the rows and columns, right? It doesn't mean that nothing is there in rows and nothing is there in columns. Okay, that is why I said we have one something called as visualization query language. Accordingly, whenever we select any graphs, by default Tableau will just move the rows and columns, or I mean move the dimensions or measures accordingly. If you can see here, whenever I selected this tree map, completely we cannot see anything here, rows and columns is empty, because how it is displaying for us, let me close this is tree map is one of the graph. Here what it is showing each and every subcategory according to the sales, it will show us the box, right? So that is what here it is showing everything. Subcategory, it went into the text part, because here subcategories, it is showing on this box what it is displaying, that it is showing us subcategory only. No, phones is one subcategory, chairs is one subcategory. It is by default automatically into went into the textual part. And sum of sales, here if you can see, this box we are having sales like 330K, right? So accordingly, how whenever we selected this graph, according to the sales we got the size of the box, right? So that is what this is, size shape. This is size symbol actually. It is tableau is showing me that sum of sales went into the size, that is, and sum of sales went into the color part. According to the size we got the boxes, accordingly according to the sum of sales only we got the colors. That means we can see that in the legend part, for the lowest sales I got some lighter color. Going forward, how my sales are increasing, the color gradient is getting darker, right? It's uh, especially with whenever we are dealing with graphs, everything will be done automatically. This is, we are just clicking something with just double clicks or with just dragging and dropping, we are just trying to create the graphs. But once we select graph, we are not doing anything, we are not keeping sales or subcategories in either. If you can see, I didn't keep sales in the size part. I didn't keep sales in the color part. I just selected this automatically. It got rearranged because Tableau is very smarter. It will it will perform according to the visualization query language. It is already embedded in the Tableau at the backend. Accordingly, it will work.
Okay,
If
thank you.
it is nothing but I mean, we cannot imagine that there is nothing in rows and columns. It will be there by default. All the dimensions will be in the rows and all the measures in the columns, but it just won't display like that. Okay, I hope I'm clear.
Yeah.
The same thing, suppose I'll drag subcategory to the rows part, sales to the columns part. Okay, and again let me drag this sales to the size part. I'll select this thing. If, see, whatever I did, once I selecting the graph, automatically it is rearranging, right? If you can see, previously I dragged or I placed subcategory into the rows part, sales into the columns part. But once I selected this graph, we cannot see anything in the rows and columns. Automatically, this system is, this is the thing, or we can say this is some rules which we will follow, which Tableau will follow by default. Whenever it's just in the visualizations concept only, not in the other concepts. But whenever we create any graph, accordingly it will change the places of rows and columns. You can see here, right? That is why we can say Tableau is very easy, right? I mean, actually we need to understand the concepts in it, but most of the work, I can say 50% of the work will be done by the Tableau itself. We are just selecting the graphs, it is just placing our dimensions and columns according, dimensions and measures accordingly, right? All right, so yeah, now I once again selected this horizontal bar. So suppose here I'm just sorting the data in descending order. Okay, suppose if my user wanted to see only top five sales of subcategories, here I'm having this many subcategories. If my user wanted to see, if I ask to create top five sales of subcategories, that means up to tables, right? 1 2 3 4 5 up to binders, according to the sales. I mean, phones is the tops. I got 330K sales for phones category, phone subcategory. So obviously this is my top subcategory. So if I, here I'm displaying all the subcategories. If I had to display only top five subcategories, then what we will do? Usually I won't prefer to explain all these concepts in demo classes, because as again I'm saying, Tableau is one such concept we need to learn in a flow, right? That is the reason whatever I'm explaining today, that one again whenever we get that concept I will explain once again. But to just as general idea, I'm explaining now. Okay, So now my requirement or my intention is to create top 5 sales of subcategories. Okay, so for that, what I wanted to do, I basically am saying that I want to filter subcategories based on the top 5 sales, right? So for that reason, I'll drag the subcategory to the filters part. Here we are having filters card, right? Let me show you once again. Here we are having filters card, right? So as I wanted to show only top 5 sales, that means I wanted to filter subcategory. So I'll drag the subcategory to the filters card. Immediately one filter dialog box will be open for us. Okay, whenever we are learning about filters, I will explain what are all the options we have. Okay, but for now, our intention is to create top 5 sales, right? For that reason, here we are having 4 tabs. First is general, second is wildcard, third is condition. Let me explain you a little bit here. Okay, so in the general tab, you can see we are having all the list of subcategories, because as I selected subcategory only to the filters part, it is showing me subcategory details, right? Suppose here I can select anything. If I wanted to show only accessories, appliances, bookcases, like that, if I wanted to show only this particular subcategories in my graph, I can manually select from here. Or else, if I wanted to show all the subcategories except this three subcategories, at that time what I will do, I'll select this. I can click on exclude. Here we will having exclude option. If we select exclude, if you can see here, all this three is cancelled, and the remaining subcategories will be displayed accordingly. According to our requirement, we can create, right? If there is all option, whenever we select all, all the subcategories will be displayed. Okay, and this is one option which we will have under general. Okay, and here if you can see, we are having use all option. Why we will use this use all option? In the sense, for example, anytime, anyway, we will work with the real time databases, in right? So what happens there, if suppose we will connect to the client's database daily, we will get some new updates in the data, right? We won't, I mean, suppose today my data is this one, I'm having this many subcategories, and this is the sales I'm having. But in real time, what happens, the data will changes, right? Maybe in couple of days my sales will be changes, maybe after 1 week or like that. If suppose I can get, if my client added any one subcategory, I will get any new subcategory into this list, right? Am I right? Here we are dealing with the static data only. Here, as I connected to sample superstore Excel file, we are having this many subcategories. But in real time, we won't work like this. We won't work with static data. Our data will changes, right? For example, here I'm having this many subcategories. Whenever I'm working in real time, suppose one or two more subcategories added to my database. At that time, suppose whenever we are creating this, actually not with filters, we will have some more advanced concepts whenever we are dealing with maybe sets and all. What we will do here, if I wanted to include all the subcategories, suppose I will select all. Okay, but suppose what, whenever I selected all whatever I'm having in this, all the subcategories is selected. Suppose tomorrow one more subcategory added into my database, then that subcategory won't be added to this list. Okay, so if I wanted to create this in a dynamic way, if I wanted to add that newly added subcategory, whatever subcategory I got newly from the from the database, if I want to add that one also to the list or to the filters or to sets, okay, at that time what I need to do, whenever I'm creating a set, I need to use all option. Okay, if I'm selecting use all option, if any new data comes into the database also, all those data will also be included. Okay, again, this one belongs to sets concept. I will explain this at that time also once again. Okay, next we are having wildcard option here in the filters. Whenever, generally this is the basically filters card, I can say. According to our requirements, we can filter our data. Okay, here we are having some options like contain starts with. Suppose if we want to filter only, what we are having, a only subcategory starting with a, then I will write starts with, and I will write a here. And whenever I will click on apply, I will get only a a subcategory starting with A. Like that, we are having ends with, exactly matches, contains. This is some options which we will see going forward. Okay. Now we are having one more tab called as condition. Here we are having three options. First is none. Okay, you can ignore this. Next option is by field. Okay, so suppose if I wanted to create uh, or if I wanted to filter any data, that is, I want, here I'm dealing with subcategory wise sales, right? So by default, here you can able to see sales because I already created graph. In my graph, it is, I already selected sales. That is the reason it is showing me. Suppose if I want to create or if I want to filter my graph by giving some conditions, I can use this with respect to sales. Suppose here for in the subcategories, in my graph, I wanted to display only subcategories with some condition, maybe sales greater than something. So here by default we will have, if I click on the drop down, we have many options. However, we want to filter with respect to what column we want to filter, that column we will select. Here if I wanted to filter with respect to sales, I can select sales. By default the aggregation will be some, as I said. Okay, next I can select, maybe if I wanted to display sum of sales greater than some value, here I'll randomly give any value. Maybe I will give something like this. And that means it will just show me that data where my sales is greater than 12,000, like this, like 120K. Okay. If I'm clicking on OK, whatever I have accordingly, I just randomly gave that condition. So the concept is accordingly we can give some conditions and we can filter the data. Again, if you can see here, if we want, again in the filters card we already having subcategory, right? We can just click here, we can click on edit filter. Okay, here whatever I selected, that will be already, if I want to clear, I can clear. I already entered, I already gave one condition that starts with A, right? I'll just clear this. Okay, and I'll go to this condition. Let me click on OK. Here it is showing me, previously I was in starting with A, I mean the subcategory starts with A, that is the reason it showed me only accessories. But now it is showing me all the subcategories where the that condition, that is 120K, greater than 120K, where whatever I'm having that subcategories list, it is showing me. Basically we are filtering the data according to the conditions. Okay, I'm just once again click on the edit filter. This is the condition option which we were discussing. Again, here one more option we will have called as by formula. If we want to write any kind of formula, we can write here. Maybe according to the filters, however we want to filter that, if we want to give any conditions, we can give here. Okay, so that is one more thing. I'll just remove this subcategory from here. Once again, let me show you top. Actually, we are discussing that. I will show you. I said that our requirement is to display top 5 sales, right? So once again, I'm just dragging this subcategory to the filters part. Here we are having last tab called as top, right? I need to select this top. Here again, we will have by field option. Now what I need to display here, I want to display top 5 sales, right? That is with respect to sales, I'm filtering top subcategories. So that is, and again here I already created graph, right? I already created subcategory by sales. That is the reason by default it is showing me sales option here. Correct. So of course here I wanted to display with respect to sales only, that is the reason I'm not changing. If I wanted to display with respect to any other option, suppose if with respect to profit, I will select profit. But I wanted to show, for now I wanted to show sales only, I'm selecting sales as it is. Now my requirement is that in this graph I wanted to display only top 5 sales, right? Here we'll having one option by default, we are getting top. If we want top, we need to keep as it is. If we want bottom, we can select bottom. That means it will show us bottom 5 or bottom 10 sales. Okay, first let's create top, and I'm saying 5, right? So I'll just directly write 5 here. Okay, by default I got 10, but I'm writing 5. That means here I am just filtering the subcategories. You can see subcategories dimension I'm filtering with respect to sales. I'm saying that I want top 5 sales, right? I'll just simply click on OK. You can see I got my top 5 sales, right? Correct. This is how we will apply filters. But here the concept is I selected only top 5 sales. Okay. But my user or my client, suppose today he wanted to see top 5 sales, but maybe tomorrow he wanted to see maybe top 7 sales, top 10 sales, top 15 sales, like that. So every time if we create, filter like this, if they wanted to see top 10 or top 15, we need to create this once again. So basically my concept is that this is how I created top 5 sales. That is a static way of creating. So I need to create top sales in a dynamic way such that whenever my user wanted to see any kind of values, like if he wanted to see top 10 sales, if he wanted to see top 15 sales, I need to create the graph in such a way that user can able to give the input accordingly. According to that input, the graph should be displayed. Did you got my point? Guys, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Am I clear so far, whatever I'm explaining?
Yeah,
Gayatri?
yes, Divya.
Great. Gayatri, for you? Great. All right. So I'm saying that here I just created top 5 sales, right? Let me rename this actually. I created top 5 sales for now. Okay. Now I'm opening a new sheet. This is the dashboard. Let me just remove this. I just open new sheet, and now again I'm selecting subcategory sales. Okay, I'll use bar graph, and now I'm saying that here I selected only top 5 sales, but I wanted to create a graph or in such a way that if my user wanted to see top 7, he can able to give the input and accordingly the graph should work. If the user wanted to see top 8, he should give the input, accordingly the graph should work. So to create that kind of graph, we will use a concept called as parameter. Okay, parameters we will say. And not only this thing, we are having so many use cases in the parameters. Whenever we will discuss parameters, tableau parameters concept, I will explain all those things. For now, just try to understand how we are creating top n sales, I can say. Let me rename it as top n sales. Why I'm saying it as top n, in the sense whatever n will be the value what user will give, right? What according to the input the graph should display. So for that, as I'm saying, we will use a concept called as parameter. Let's see how we will deal with that. Okay, so here I'm just dragging subcategory to the filters part again. The same thing, I'll go to this top tab. Okay, by field, here I am having already sales. Previously I created top 5 here, right? I created top 5. If I create top 5, it will show me top 5 sales. If I created 10, it will show me top 10 sales. This is the way of creating the static filters, I can say. But now I wanted to create a parameter. For that, there is a drop down here. If I'm clicking the drop down, we will have two options. Enter a value. If I click on enter a value, here I can simply edit something. I'm creating this statically. If I'm creating 15, it only shows me top 15. But I need to create this thing, parameter. For that, I'm selecting create a new parameter, right? Now it will show me one box or one dialog box to create a parameter. Okay, here I can give any of my name for this parameter. Maybe I will give top n sales. Okay, and here by default it took integer. We will have basically in parameters, create parameter box, we will have data type option. As I already selected sales here, because in sales the values will be integers only, right? So by default it took integer and it is disabled for me. Okay, so right, because sales are integer values, right? And here, if you remember, the last value before selecting create new parameter, I selected 15 as the value. That is the reason here it is showing me display format and current value as 15. The concept here is what is the current value, in the sense if I give something like 10 here, whatever I give in the current value, that will be shown in the display format. That means after creating the parameter, whenever we open this sheet, whatever value we will give here, that value will be displayed in the sheet. Suppose if I am giving 10, the 10 values, that is top 10 values, will be shown here. Okay, by default whatever we will give in the current value or display format, that will be displayed on the graph. But again, just whenever we are opening, it will display, but again user can give accordingly whatever input he wanted to give, he will give. Okay, I hope I'm clear. That is the reason it here it is showing value when workbook opens. This is the current value, whatever I'm giving current value here, whenever we open that workbook, that number of top sales it will display. If here suppose let me give only what is the value you wanted me to give, suppose 5, like it's our wish, we can give any value, that value will be displayed whenever we open the workbook. Okay, and here whenever we are creating parameters, we will have this allowable values. We have three options: all, list and range. I will explain all of these options very detailedly whenever we are discussing parameters. For now, let's just try to understand how we are creating top end sales. And obviously top end sales, as we are discuss I mean as it sales is an integer value, we need to use this range only. Okay, now by default I got my range also. I need to follow this thing. I can, if I want, I can just check this box. It will show me the minimum values, that is minimum 1 is there, maximum 100 is there. So what is this minimum, in the sense suppose whatever I'll give, the minimum is 1. If I'm mentioning minimum as 1, suppose if I mention minimum as 2, whenever I am changing the user input, minimum 2 sales will be there in my graph. And maximum by default I got it 100. If I want, I can change, but I am having only less values of subcategories here, so no need of changing, I'll keep it as it is. Next, we are having one more option called as step size. The step size is nothing but here I'm having 1, right? So whenever the user is changing, changing the values, let me do one thing. For now, just remember that step size is 1. Once I will create it, I will show you practically. Then I will explain what is step size here. Okay. So I'm clicking on OK here. Whatever options, remaining options are there, I will explain them in the parameters class. Okay. I'm just clicking on OK for now. Okay, you can see top end sales is is the parameter name. Whatever parameter name I given, that parameter I got it, and I'm clicking on OK. Before clicking on OK, if you can observe, let me click on OK first. If you can see here, whenever I created top end sales parameter, whatever parameter we will create, that parameter we will display it. One separate panel will be created for parameters. Previously we had only dimensions and measures, right? At the bottom, whatever parameters we will create, that parameters we can able to see as in a separate panel at the bottom. Okay, now if we want, I will just click on this drop down. We can even edit. Current value I gave as 2, that is the reason it is showing me 2. If I give 5, okay, and if I click on OK, it will show me whenever I open this, it will show me whatever value I gave in the current value, that many sales it will show me. Okay, now our why we created parameters, so that user can give the input, right? For that, what we need to do, after creating parameter, we need to click on the drop down. We need to click on show parameter. Okay, if I click on show parameter, by default we will get this towards the top right corner. This is the place where user can give the inputs. By default, as I give current value as 5, it is displaying me 5 values here. Here, if user wanted, he can give the values. Suppose here it is a slider. If I'm clicking this arrow mark, it is showing me 6. If I'm clicking this arrow mark, it is showing me 7. Why it is just showing me 6, 7 like that, in the sense here in the, once again I'm editing this. Here I gave step size is 1, right? So step size 1 in the sense whenever we are selecting or whenever we are giving parameter, it will we are giving that 1 as a step size. That means exactly to the next value we can select. If I give step size as 2 here, okay, I'm giving step size as 2 and I'm clicking on OK. So automatically what happens here, if I am changing this, it will jump 2 values. Suppose here I'm having 8. If I'm clicking next, I will get 10, right? Because the step size is 2 here. So basically what step size is, what step size means in the sense whenever we are selecting the parameter or whenever we are giving the input, how many values we want to select or how many values we want to jump actually. Suppose my current value is 4. If I wanted to see, if I give the step size as 2, it will just directly give me plus 2 kind of thing. Next 6 it will give. Next 8 it will give. I hope I'm clear.
Yeah.
About step size, yes. Again, this if we want, we can even change this. Here we will have one drop down. By default I got slider. Even I can click on type in option, then I can user can directly give the options here. If he wanted to see 10, he will give 10 here. I will click somewhere, you need to click at the, I mean, he suppose I selected 15. What I need to do after writing 15, I need to just keep my cursor somewhere at the outside. Then it will accordingly, it will just display. Okay. As I selected step size as 2, if I gave 15 also, it is just showing me 16 because plus 2. For that reason, mostly we will prefer to use step size as 1 only. If we really wanted to display, if we really wanted to create graph in such a way that whatever user wanted to see in that way exactly, if it wanted to see, if it the graph wanted to display, we will use step size as 1. Then only whatever value there we are giving, that value exactly it will display, right? Suppose if our user wanted to display only 8, he will click 8 here. Accordingly only 8 sales, 8 top sales it will display, right? This is how we will create a parameter in our graph. This is how we will, basically I explained today little bit idea. I mean, I just gave a little bit idea about how to create filters. One type of filters, actually we'll have so many types of filters in Tableau. This is a one kind of filter which we saw today. And I explained the concept of parameters. That is, parameters is nothing but we can, if the user wanted to give input to the graph, we will create a parameters. Okay. And along, I mean, with this parameters we'll have so many use cases, I can say. Here I just created only top n sales, right? So if along with the parameters I can even create dynamic measures. That means suppose I am selecting subcategory wise sales and profits in one graph. Okay. So I will create measures also in such a way in a dynamically that whenever user wants to see only sales, he can see only sales. That is subcategory wise sales. If user wanted to see only profits, he can select profits there. That means subcategory wise profits it will display. Okay, we will learn these concepts practically whenever we are learning parameters concept. For now, I just give you a small idea. Okay, I hope I'm clear.
Yeah, you are clear.
Yeah.
Great. So my intention is that, we will have so many advanced concepts in Tableau, but actually we need to go with the flow. That is the reason mostly I prefer to show you some basic concepts only in the demo classes. This is one subject which we need to learn in a sequence. Then only we can understand very properly each and every concept. Okay, just to show you one small glance, I explained this. But one today is our last demo class. If you are interested, please get registered. Then by today evening, you will get a new link of Zoom. Then please, log in with that link in tomorrow's class. Okay, so we will continue the concepts in a sequence from tomorrow. And this is about top end sales. Just imagine that if I want, here I'm showing you only top end sales. Okay, suppose if I wanted to create bottom end sales, obviously subcategory sales, I will drag bar graph. I'll drag subcategory to the filters part. In top, instead of here in by field, instead of top I will select bottom, right? If I want only static value, I will give 10. If I wanted to create new parameter for bottom n cells, I will create one more new parameter. I will give the parameter name as top. It's not top, it's bottom, right? Bottom n sales. Current value, maybe I will give 5. Range, I'll keep it as it is. I'm not changing anything, and I'm clicking on OK. Basically, I'm just trying to create the opposite of that is bottom n sales, right? I clicked on OK. I clicked on OK. Here you can see I got bottom end sales also. This is top end sales. This is bottom end sales. As I selected 5 as in the current value, by default I got 5. Right? 1 second. Okay, so my concept is that suppose I created top end sales and bottom end sales here. Suppose if I wanted to create in one graph itself, if I wanted to create top sales on bottom sales, here I created separately. This is top sales, this is bottom sales, right? If I wanted to create top sales and bottom sales in one graph or in one visualizations, there we will use a concept called as sets. Sets is again one more very important concepts. We will do lots of things by using sets. So if we wanted to create top end sales and bottom end sales together in one graph, we will use a concept called as sets along with parameters. First, obviously, we need to create parameter, then only we can create sets, then we can able to display those top and bottom sales in one graph, which we will see going forward. Okay, and let's do one thing. Let me connect to, I'll open a new workbook actually. Connect to data. Here I'm connecting to Microsoft SQL Server. Okay. Before that, let me show you my SQL Server application. So this is this, I think I shared my complete screen, right?
No, it's so
Yes. No, no, it is showing me here, right? I can select. So now I'm selecting Microsoft SQL Server. Okay. Today we are done with the demo classes. By today, tomorrow, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll show you the installation process of Tableau as well as SQL Server. So this is my SQL Server. Once I open this, it will just show me like this. I need to click on connect. By default, whenever you install, you need to give server name here. I will show you how to give. Okay, for now I'm just clicking on connect. Okay, this is a SQL Server. Basically, we are having databases here, right? So to open a new query tab, what I need to do, I am having one option called as new query. I'm just clicking this new query option. One editable page will come. Here I need to write all the SQL queries. Okay, so we will create one database. We will create some tables. Actually, if you are familiar with SQL part, both of you, I guess you know how to create the tables and how to insert the data, right? In SQL, or do you want me to explain that?
Yeah, I want to explain.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, no problem. So as I said, we will explain SQL Server also from basics. Once we get into our actual concepts, that once from tomorrow, I will show you from basics. I will explain the complete thing, the SQL Server part completely, how we will create tables, how we will insert data, everything I will show you very clearly. Okay, parallelly we will learn Tableau. First we will learn the basic concepts of SQL Server, and then we will learn Tableau also parallelly. Okay, so now for now, I'll just show you how to connect. This is it, SQL Server. This is my SQL Server. If I'm expanding this databases, these are the databases or the list of databases I'm having in my laptop. Okay, so as I said, what is the real-time database and data warehouse which we are going to follow is AdventureWorks. This is the database. Same AdventureWorks, if you can see DW, that means it is a data warehouse. Okay, I will explain about the difference between database and data warehouse. And basically in Tableau we will also use data warehouse, because once I explain that difference you can able to understand it. Database, I can say, to just explain it shortly, let me tell you, database is something where we will store the current data. Okay, data warehouse is something where we will store the historical data. To explain you, to make you understand more clearly about database and data warehouse, I will give you one example. Maybe I will explain you with by taking the example of Amazon. Then you will understand very clearly about what is database and what is data warehouse. So obviously, as we will store historical data in data warehouse, in Tableau for analysis purpose we will use data warehouse data also. So from tomorrow our actual classes will be start. I will explain everything in a sequence. I will give you I mean, every concept I will go with the flow, and at that time I will explain you the difference between database and data warehouse, and I will show you how we will download this, you know, databases, how to restore this database and data warehouse in SQL Server also I will show you. For now I am already having these things. If I'm just clicking on this place, if I am expanding this, I'll expand tables. These are the tables. It is loading. First, whenever we are started learning SQL Server, at that time I will show you how to create the database first. Okay, how to create table, how to insert the data, and I will give you some script about, you know, whatever you can see here. Demo tables we am having, I will give some demo tables. I'll explain that script. We need to use that here, and along with that, the whatever we will database we will create for this batch, that database we will use to learn SQL. Along with that, we will also use this adventure works also to understand Tableau. Okay, just taking, let's do one thing. Let me just open Tableau workbook here. I'll connect to data. Okay, I already shown you how, you know, about the SQL Server here, right? It is just taking time to load the tables. Usually it won't take this much of time. Let's do one thing. Let's try to see those tables in the Tableau level. Okay, so in the Tableau, to connect to the SQL Server, I'll just connect to data. Here Microsoft SQL Server is there, right? I need to click this option and this thing. Immediately we can able to see one dialog box. Whenever we installed, I mean, whenever you are using this for the first time, here the server name will be blank. You need to copy this server name from here. I will show you detailedly later, but for now let me just show you quickly. Immediate, if you can remember, once I open my SQL Server, one dialog box will be one. I got one dialog box where I clicked on connect, right? On that box, my server name will be there. Again, if I want to, you know, display that once again, I need to click on connect option, database engine. This is the one which I got whenever I opened the SQL server, right? So here only I'm having this server name. I need to copy this server name and paste it in the Tableau level. If we do this for the first time, if we do this for the first time only, we need to copy the server name and paste it here. From the next time, from the say, for every time, no need to follow this same process. For the first time, if we keep this server name, by default, whenever you connect to the SQL server, you can able to see this as it is. Okay, so here, as I used many times, it is showing me already my server name is here. I need to click on sign in. Here we have one more option called as database, but this is optional in this level. No need of selecting database here. We need to directly click on sign in, and in the next page we can select the database. So directly I'm clicking on sign in. Obviously, again we will go to the data source level. In Excel file also, once we connected to Excel, we went to the data source level. There it showed us sheets, how many sheets are there in that Excel file. That sheets it displayed accordingly. We dragged that sheet uh, to this part, then we got the data, if you remember, right? The same way as we got connected to Microsoft SQL Server, here it is showing me the connections. Here it is showing me I got connected to Microsoft SQL Server. This is my server name, and it will show me the databases list here. Okay, if I need to click on this drop down, so it will show me how many databases are there in my laptop. Basically, here how many databases are there. See, it got loaded now. Previously, I selected AdventureWorks TW 2017 data. These are all the tables which we are having. Maybe we don't deal with each and every table, but to understand, we will work with some tables here. Okay. So these are the list of databases, right, available in my SQL server that is in my laptop. So how many databases I will have here, that list of databases, I can able to see in the Tableau level also. I can select any database accordingly. I'll click on the drop down and it will show me all the available databases. I can select accordingly. Okay, suppose let me select this one only, AdventureWorks. Okay, I need to select like this. Whatever database I want to work on, that database I will select. It will show me all the tables available in that database. Okay, so suppose I'm having one table called as fact internet sales. I wanted to work it. For now I wanted to use this table. I'll just drag this table and drop it here. Okay, then immediately we can able to see that data here, right? It is showing me 100 rows, and these are all the columns which are having product key, order date key, due date, ship date, like that. I'm having few columns. So let's do one thing. By default will be in the live connection, as I already said, and I'll go to the sheet level, right? To create the graphs, obviously we need to go to the sheet level. So I opened my sheet one. So these are all the dimensions I have. These are all the measures I have. Okay, basically I'm having uh here sales amount, tax amount, and yeah, I'm having some ship dates and due dates kind of thing. This is actually whatever we are learning now, that is AdventureWorks is the database or data warehouse that is provided by SQL Server, Microsoft itself. Microsoft provided this database for practice purpose. Okay, so this will be completely a sample data where we can use it to understand or to learn the databases. Okay, Mm, this is available for us from Microsoft itself. For example, let me tell you one more concept here. Here I'm having ship date, or let's think due date. I'm selecting due date here. One second. Okay, I got my due date. Okay, suppose I'll select my sales amount. It is taking a lot of time. Okay, so here in this I'm having basically due date is a date column. As we all know, we are having in this, as I selected this database, here we are having data from 2011 to 2014. Okay, I selected that particular year. I mean, I just selected due date and I selected sales amount. Here, one thing, let me tell you, all the date columns in Tableau, all the date columns by default, there will be hierarchical. We will have one option, one concept called as hierarchy. Okay, so all the date columns are by default comes under this hierarchy. Hierarchy is nothing but, if you can see, I just selected due date from here. By default, I got year wise data, right? If you can see, I'm having plus icon, that is I can expand this, right? So if I'm clicking on this plus icon, if I'm clicking on this plus icon, then it will give me quarter wise data, right? You can see this is year, this is quarter. In every year, obviously, we know we will have 4 quarters, right? If I wanted to see hierarchy in the sense, levels of data, I can say. So by default, all the date columns are of hierarchies in Tableau. If I wanted to analyze year wise, I will only use year wise. If I wanted to analyze quarter wise data, I will use quarter. Then month wise data, I need to click on plus, then it is expanding. Then day wise data, like that we will have. Okay, maybe for dates we will, if I don't want, you can see this, we will call it as drill up and drill down, plus and minus we are having. If I don't want this day wise data, either I can click on this drop down or click on remove, or else I need to click on this minus. If suppose I don't want this month wise data, again I need to click on this minus, month will be disappear. If I click on plus, I will get my month. Okay, like that it will be. By default, all the date columns are hierarchies. Okay, let me select any line graph. It will show me accordingly for each and every. Suppose here what I will do, if I don't want quarter wise data, if I want year wise data, even I can select here from here also. Okay, here it is showing me I already selected to quarter wise. If I can select directly year wise from here, it will show me the year wise data. Like that it will be. What is line chart, everything we will discuss going forward. Okay, and as I said, by default, all the date columns are hierarchies, but if we want to create any other hierarchy also, we can create. For example, we can create hierarchies manually. Here we don't have any location columns. Let me open our first workbook. Okay, this is, I'm opening new sheet. Already I open new sheet. This is actually sample superstore data. Let me just create one hierarchy manually to show you. Okay, I said all the date columns are hierarchies. If I'm selecting order date, again you can see here I'm getting year wise, then quarter wise, like that. Whatever I said just now, the same thing. Okay, this by default, all the date columns are hierarchies, but if we want to create any hierarchy manually also, we can create. Suppose we are having category and subcategory. We know that those belongs to the same level, right? If I want to create a hierarchy here, the concept is simple. I'll just simply drag subcategory and I'll place it on the top of category. Then it will show me a create hierarchy box. Here, either we can use the same name or else I can give any name. Maybe I'm just giving products as my name. I'm clicking on OK. You can see here hierarchy symbol I got. It is showing me products. If I'm clicking this thing, this one actually. Okay. Products I got, even I can expand. If I'm clicking this arrow, it is showing me 2 levels are there, category and subcategory. Okay. Suppose just it's not, we if we want to add any related columns into one hierarchy, we can create. For example, if we have any locations, location columns like country, city, state, we will use all those location columns into one hierarchy. Accordingly, we can select. If we want country wise data, we can select country. If we want state wise data, city wise data, we can select accordingly. For example, I just used only 2 categories here. Suppose if I'm clicking this products, I'll drag and drop it in the rows. First, I will get category. If I'm clicking on plus, then I will get subcategory. Like that it will be. Okay. I hope I'm clear. This is just small points I'm just trying to cover. That's it.
Yeah, okay.
Again, whenever we are deal with this concepts from tomorrow, we will learn in a sequential order. Okay, so this is our last demo. If you are interested, please get registered with us by today. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can ask me, or else whoever get registered, for them they will get a new Zoom link today. Use that link and connect tomorrow's class. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Asif. I hope no doubts, right, for now. All right, guys, if that is so, let me end this session for today. And please get registered. You already know the details. The course fees is of only 6,000. I already shown you the course content. We will discuss each and every concept very slowly and very practically. Okay. And yeah, if that is so, let me end the session.